was hoping not to lay in one of these before I was 60, but what are you gonna do? I knew about Grave Conversations before it started airing. I, for some reason, pictured like plush, like memory foam. It's not memory foam. It's like you're in a box.
Hello, and welcome to Grave Conversations, the only show where your favorite celebrities get to lie down. I'm your host, David Dastmalchian. Today's guest is very, very special to me. He's an incredible actor who you have loved in everything you've ever seen him in, ranging from a Sarah Silverman program to Superstore to the Suicide Squad and the HBO Max hit show Peacemaker, as well as all across the DC universe. He is my pal, my brother, Steve Agee. Are you comfy in your death vessel?
What if I had died while you were doing that intro and then they just cut to me just fucking dead? Yeah, that was a good intro.
I've never done that before. We've done like so many podcasts together. We talk on the phone all the time, and yet I never do intros for you. So now I'm going to do intros for you.
This is pretty good.
Yeah.
I approve.
You make it easy. We talk about death more than any of my other friends, so I'm glad that we're
Oh
finally
boy,
gonna get
do
this.
we.
Yeah.
Woo. This will be the first time though in coffins. I'm on the tail end. If I sound congested, I'm on the tail end of bronchitis. I've had a horrible cough. And I just remembered this morning, I have a friend who used to always say, if you're coughing often, it's a coffin they'll carry you off in. So that's relevant to this interview.
Steve says he's at the tail end of bronchitis. Tail end being a 2.5 month case of bronchitis.
I don't think it's bronchitis. It's probably something worse.
It's probably something.
It's probably
something quite serious, as we discuss it in a coffin. Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to dive in and answer some tough questions?
That's why I'm here.
All right. The first segment we call questions you need to answer before you die. Or
Quintabit?
Quintabit. John Travolta called it Quinta Brunson, but I'm glad you know how to pronounce it properly.
Quinta Brunson.
What is the worst vegetable?
There's a lot, Dave.
I know.
Probably asparagus.
For obvious reasons.
Pee-pee.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say the weird cryptic end to it, but yeah. The pee-pee thing, I was told, doesn't affect everybody. I don't know if that's true. But
I smell everything that I piss out of me. Coffee is the worst. I think that's a dehydration thing, but there are often times where I will pee like midday and I'm like, wow, that is the coffee that I had this morning. Yeah, asparagus,
if your
cornflakes.
You know that old poem, if your pee smells often in the coffin,
they'll carry you often.
Carry often, that's the...
Yeah. No, actually, I'm good with most vegetables. I don't like asparagus or Brussels sprouts, so.
Yeah. What's the smallest animal that could realistically ruin your day?
Insects count?
Oh, yeah.
We go even more microscopic. Cancer. But, I mean, it's ruined my day many times.
Yeah, it sucks. That's a shitty little animal.
I mean, a mosquito.
I would say bee, especially if it stung you. When I was a little boy, a bee crawled up my shorts. I was sitting on a rock pile and it stung me right on the pee-pee.
No.
It's a true story.
My earliest memory, and this is an absolute fact, my earliest memory was laying on a beach towel, obviously on the beach. My mom was sitting next to me reading a paperback book, and she had a can of Pepsi, and it was kind of like you do that thing where you push it into the sand instead of a cup holder. She had this Pepsi in the sand, and I remember, I was a baby, I remember seeing a bee land on the rim of the can and crawl around and then go inside the can. And then I watched my mom pick up the can and take a sip, and it stung her on the tongue. And I remember her screaming. This is why I remember it. Screaming and jumping up and running over to the lifeguard who pulled the stinger out. In my head, I'm like, oh, it's probably like 4 or 5. I asked my mom this like a few years before she died. We were hanging out at her house, and I said, do you remember when the bee stung your tongue? It was in a Pepsi can. she like almost dropped whatever she was holding. She goes, "How do you remember that? You were a baby."
Wow.
That's my earliest memory.
This is crazy. My earliest memory, very vividly, is sitting in my living room with my family on my blue blanket, which I used to lay down on my tummy in the living room watching The Muppet Show. I remember this vividly, but the first time I remember, and in the living room, in one of the chairs, Tom Bosley. And I, for years, carried that memory with me. And to my family, I would say, how did we know the guy who was the dad on Happy Days? And they'd say, we did. And I said, no, you know, the guy with the trash bag commercials. Like, I remember him vividly, such a clear childhood memory, sitting as a baby on my blue blanket and Tom Bosley sitting there with my family. And the only way we've been able to explain it is that when I was a baby watching Happy Days, I probably just associated him as being in the room with us and thought he was part of the family.
Wow, you completely have an inability to separate reality from fantasy. We smell our food through our urine because the government is implanting powerful chemicals into the food. I'm gonna fit in this?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I pushed the limits of how tall a person can be in the coffin.
You feel okay?
I feel
A
great.
little claustrophobic, not gonna lie.
Steve, if you had to pick one fictional character to do your taxes, who would it be?
The Holy Ghost. I'd love to see what that fucking idiot would do. The loopholes I bet that motherfucker could come up with some loopholes.
See you in the comments section. Stephen, do you think Bigfoot believes in us?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's way more of us. Like, I'm sure that the big feet have seen us.
The big feet.
The big feets.
The
Bigfoots.
The Harrys. Yeah, they're watching.
The big hairies have seen us.
That's how dumb we are as humans. These giant, massive creatures that, like, you can smell a mile away. They've been watching us for ages.
Yeah.
We have one video of them that we're all still
Shaking
arguing
their
about.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they all? I think every other creature on this earth is just shaking their heads at this point.
Yeah.
Just complete
Fuck
disgust.
us.
Do you think dogs get songs stuck in their heads too?
Ooh. I don't know. I would say no, because when we get songs stuck in our head, like when I get a song stuck in my head, and I think it's the same with everybody, you sing it, you hum it, like even when you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
I've never seen a dog singing a song.
They're on a loop. The thing that's stuck in their head is like sniff butts, go for a walk, eat, hump.
Actually, I think they are maybe aware. My friend Rob and his wife Kate, when they would leave to go somewhere for, like to a dinner with some people, they would put on this music for their dog to calm it when they left.
That's
and
so
then
sweet.
at some point, when they'd start putting on the music, the dog was like, "Oh fuck, they're leaving," and get bummed out. But maybe that was just
It's not a bad idea. You could leave like a little like a walkie-talkie, and then wherever you are, be like,
That's true. Lolly.
"Hey,
Lolly.
hey, Mark,
Your dog's name
dinner
is Mark.
dinner time.
Hey, Mark. Yeah.
What conspiracy theory would you start just for fun?
We smell our food through our urine because the government is implanting powerful chemicals into the food. Actually, and now as I'm saying that out loud, it's probably true.
That clip is going to go viral, and there's going to be a whole new movement, the pea sniffers, and it's going to be like,
Sniffers.
yeah, it's the next big thing on the TikToks. What do you think is a smell that's most likely to summon ancient spirits?
Palo Santo.
That's nice. That was just a warm up. What does James Gunn smell like?
James smells good.
Boring.
I don't know what he smells like,
No,
but
he does. He just smells neutral, right?
he smells clean.
When you think about the Mario brothers, do you think Luigi has a rich inner life, or is his entire identity wrapped up in just thoughts about his brother?
I think he fucking hates his brother
Yeah.
because his brother gets all the acclaim.
It must be tough. If you had to spend the night alone in a room with 67 mannequins, which would freak you out more, clothed or unclothed?
Clothed.
Okay, last really important question in this.
Oh, these were the
bundle.
questions that I have to answer before I die? Okay.
What's the number of birds, Stephen, what's the number of birds you can see in one place before you start to worry?
I don't think I would ever worry. I've been in places with thousands of birds. It didn't bother me. I was once chased by 1,000 geese in England.
God, I wish there was video footage of
I was
that.
walking by a lake, and there were all these geese, and for some reason, you know that thing where they lower their
Yeah, they
and
lower that and
straighten
they
their
come
neck?
to bite your butt. Yeah.
There was like, in my memory, I was 14 at the time, but in my memory, it was probably 1,000 of them, and they were chasing me.
They're
And I
wicked
thought it was
creatures.
hilarious.
They're evil, wicked creatures. They scared me as the little boy. I grew up in Kansas, and they're getting chased by a goose, bite your butt, hurt. You've had quite an exciting couple of years becoming an important part of a comic book universe. What was your favorite comic book character growing up?
I was never into comics the way James is, or you are, or a lot of my friends are. Pat Oswalt, Brian Posehn. I have a lot of friends who are into comics. I somehow missed that. I don't think there was a comic book shop near me when I was growing up. So my knowledge of comic books comes from like TV, like the Batman series, like the 60s Batman series. And
Yeah, Incredible Hulk.
so I would probably say Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good answer.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, the magazines I was looking at when I was a kid, Cheryl Tiegs, Farrah Fawcett.
Cheryl Tiegs.
Let's go deeper, Stephen.
A lot of people are not going to get that reference, but she was a supermodel in the 70s and into the 80s, I believe.
Very significant to old guys like us.
I would love it if you could take some of my ashes and sprinkle them into like a cookie dough and make cookies for the thing and not tell anybody.
Just a secret between me and your spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
a
a bunch
great
of my
spirit.
friends ate my ashes. The only thing different about this, as opposed to when I hang out with Dave in regular real life, is we're laying in coffins. This is all the exact same stuff Dave and I talk about when we're hanging out.
On Grave Conversations, we want to normalize conversations about death and dying. Are
Yeah.
you ready to talk about end-of-life celebrations and funeral planning?
Fuck yeah.
That's right. Can we just say really quick, can we take a pause and acknowledge the fact that for years we're part of a group of friends who like to do game nights, and at one point Steve and I, we had this idea that it would be fun instead of a game night to do living wakes. This is years ago.
No, you keep calling them living wakes. I've always
Living funeral.
I always
Okay.
hate that you call them that. I've always said funerals.
Just funeral. Okay.
Funerals that you, a funeral for yourself that you watch your friends give.
But you don't speak.
You don't
at.
get to speak.
You sit in the back and you just get to watch it.
You watch your own funeral
Watch your
while
own
you're
funeral.
awake.
So we were so excited about this idea, and we showed up at the next game night like, you guys, what if once a month we throw a funeral for one of us?
They hated it.
And everyone hated it. Everyone was
But
like,
also we were
absolutely.
like, well, let's write it as a script. And then I called you one night while I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm like, they just fucking did it on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
They did, but our idea is still super solid. So in our segment that we call Death Wish, we asked some hard-hitting questions, including number one, if you got to pick, Stephen, how would you like to die?
I've watched all of these interviews that you do, and I've always been like, I want to have a really great answer. And I mean, if we're being honest, in my sleep.
Great answer.
I wish I had something really good and cool, and like skydiving, chute didn't open.
That sounds miserable. I don't want the
Sounds-
last few seconds of my life like hurtling towards Earth, screaming.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not afraid of being the fact that we die and I'll be dead doesn't bother me. It's the
way.
thing that scares me is dying. The actual
way we die, yeah.
As my breath leaves, I don't want to be aware that that is fucking happening. I don't want it to be painful.
Right.
I want to be asleep.
Yeah.
Good night.
How often? I can guess the answer to this because I think I know it. But how often do you think about death and dying?
Fucking every day, dude.
All day, every day. Yeah.
Oh my God, every night. The fucking nights are the most terrifying time to me. I've had this cough for almost 3 months. And after I saw 4 doctors who did nothing, there were times when I would get in bed at night and I was like, my mind goes crazy at night. I was like, what if this is something deeper than bronchitis? That's why they haven't been able to fix it. What if this is my last sleep? So I got that going for me every night.
On your deathbed, you will have complete consciousness. Have you, how often do we talk about your cough? Every day, I'd say.
Well, since I got it in New York when we were doing press for Peacemaker,
Have you ever done any funeral planning for yourself?
no.
Okay.
How I want to be buried, or
Yeah, buried, cremated, something else?
I want to do the fire, the one where they burn me.
Yeah, I love that.
Cremating, I think it's called.
Oh, I thought you meant Viking. No, cremation.
No,
Yeah,
just-
cremation.
And I wouldn't mind having my ashes. Well, I have so many. I would love to have my ashes spread in Joshua Tree. I also thought it would be funny at like the after party of the funeral. What is it? The reception.
The after party.
The after party.
The after party.
I would love if you,
Rat party. We're calling it a rat
because
party.
I know you could pull this off. I would love it if you could take some of my ashes and sprinkle them into like a cookie dough and make cookies for the thing and not tell anybody.
Until after they've eaten them.
Maybe not even after. Maybe not even
It's
that.
just a secret between me and your spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
a
a bunch
great
of my
spirit.
friends ate my ashes?
I know the answers to literally all these questions, but I guess the purpose of us doing this is because it's now going to exist for others to observe.
But I also had a conversation with my friend Biddy very recently where I said, if I do an open casket, it would be funny if she came in late and walked up to the casket and just screamed, "Oh my God, he's dead." And then explained that she thought she was coming to like some kind of party. Or like, I would love someone to reach into the casket and like put a finger on my neck and go, "Holy fuck, I got a pulse."
I have always said I want to be cremated. I want the casket open and then my urn in there, and then we do whoever wants to participate, a raffle. Whoever wants to win my casket, they can take it home with them. But then I thought about it just now while you were talking. I was like, it'd be fun if I die before you. Can you make sure that they do me up like Count Dracula and like makeup and everything? And
Like Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Awesome.
I also want to be, this was a thing, I used to have a joke about this, but this is true. If I am in a casket, if I'm buried in a casket, I would like to be buried with my glasses on, because I think it's funny that in many years, I will just be a skeleton with glasses,
on. Yeah.
And then if there's an earthquake, like they shift, and then for all of eternity, my skeleton is just...
No, dude, I want to have glasses and like a 2 Live Crew T-shirt on, so that when somebody finds me
2 Live Crew
in the year 2000,
Oh God. 2 Live Crew.
you and I definitely don't have difficult time having conversation around death, dying. I don't know if you have these conversations with other friends, but I think you do. But why do you think it's so difficult for people to have conversations about death?
I don't know, man, because I've never had a problem talking about death, recognizing the fact that it's how we all go out, man. It's never been an issue to me. I don't understand why people have a problem with it.
Stephen, thank you for opening up with us today. Let's talk about what's happening with your life outside of this casket. This is a little segment that we call Living for This. You have had, like I said, an amazing year. I have loved watching your work. Do you mind just telling us a little bit, like, how did you end up playing John Economos in the DC universe? Like, how did you find out you got the role?
James, after he left Marvel, was given the opportunity to do anything he wanted. And he wanted to do the Suicide Squad. I think at first, when he approached me, he said he wanted me to do the motion capture for King Shark, which I did. But then it became, I've also got this part of John Economos. He works with Amanda Waller. He's like a tech guy. And that was it. It was like 2 weeks of work as John Economos and then like 80 days as King Shark. I would have thought if there was a future, it would have been me doing motion capture for King Shark. And then not long after we did the movie, we got into the pandemic, and he kind of, in his downtime, wrote the Peacemaker. He wrote 8 episodes. He didn't just write a pilot. Warner Brothers was like, yeah, let's do it. And that's kind of how John Economos was born.
How similar do you think you are to John?
I think James writes them in my voice.
I agree. Yeah.
I am a coward. I am a coward.
You're so good in the show, Steve.
Thanks,
So
man.
good. I love it. Did you have to dye your beard in real life?
Well, as you can see, this is very gray. So, first season, there's a running bit about me dyeing my beard, and it's very obvious. After I have a monologue in the finale of season 1 about why I dye my beard, as we were getting ready to do season 2, I asked James what's happening with the beard. He goes, we literally never mention the beard, so you can do anything you want. He's like, you can shave it, you can dye it, you can let it go gray. And being the vain person that I am, I was like, well, let's just dye it correctly.
A more appropriate color than John would have picked.
Yeah.
It's the show's like mind blowing with the the superhero stuff. I love the effects stuff. It always looks rad. I love all the character stuff. Obviously, it's a James Gunn world, so all the characters are these total weirdos who are fully fleshed out. But it's funny as. So, what is the hardest you've ever laughed on the set of Peacemaker?
There's been a lot, but I mean, the most recent I can think of was the scene with me and Tim Meadows in The Surveillance Fan. When we first meet Tim and he's talking about bird blindness and then talking about 2 strippers that he hooked up with. I mean, I've known Tim for years. It was our first time working together. And it was, I hope a blooper reel comes out because we were laughing a lot when we were shooting that. Being on Grave Conversation feels like I've checked something off my bucket list. I wanted to do this since the beginning, and I'm stoked that we finally made it happen.
Steven,
Yes, David.
thank you so much for being a part of this experience with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
You are truly one of the most important people in my life. You're a brother to me now, not just a friend. And
Likewise.
as you know, we both lost our moms within months of one another back in the year 2020, just as everyone
What a
was
shit year.
locked it down and we would have to communicate through doors on porches and standing apart from each
horrible.
other. And all I wanted to do was hug you so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Now I'm so grateful that I have you in my life and I can hug you whenever I want.
Well, you can't right now because you're in a box
God damn it.
about 8 feet away from me, but afterwards.
So before we bury this interview, I do have one final thing that I want to ask you to do.
Okay.
You know this one.
Eulogy.
It's so funny. My kids actually came up with that eulogy.
Very funny.
When I say die, that's your cue. You have 60
Then I'm
seconds.
talking about myself at a eulogy.
Anything you want, just please
Okay.
make it distinctly very you. This has to be a Steve Agee moment. Take a
Okay.
deep breath. Ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, die.
Wow, I didn't expect this many people to show up. Wow, he really finally left after years of thinking he was dying. Who would have thunk it was fucking asparagus? Bad asparagus. Well, this is proof Steve had a lot of friends and he loved all of you as much as you love him. Thanks for coming. Let's party and let's play with his dead body. Let's fucking pull him out of that box and play with his dead body a bunch before we bury him.
Weekend at Agee's.
Weekend at Agee's.
Oh man, Steve.
That would make me really happy.
That would
by
be
the way.
awesome.
You guys have my permission.
We've got a pulse! Steven, this has been a blast.
Love it.
Now, I have a date with my pillow. Bye.
Get the I'm fucking going crazy in this fucking thing. I am like the tallest person to be in this cast. I saw Joel McHale, and I watched Joel McHale's the night before I did this, and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm fitting in that, because I know I'm taller than Joel. Not too bad, though. I don't know who I'm talking to, but it's not too bad.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling a lot better now that I am out of the coffin.